Hey guys, it's Carly here for MFT, and today I wanted to share with you some cards that have some fun clear windows that have a little bit of sparkle. So I'm starting with a white card panel, and I'm going to add a little bit of color by blending some Distress Oxide inks. So I'm blending on the upper 2/3 of the card panel, and I'm not looking for it to be perfect because I am going to soften the look with a little bit of clean water that I'm spraying on my hand and shaking on for some big droplets. And then after picking that up with a paper towel, I'm actually going to use a wet baby wipe as well to kind of dab all over and soften the bottom to blend it into the white and just soften the color in general. Now I'm going to set that aside to dry for a few minutes and grab my card. So this is going to be a top fold card. It's scored, but it's not folded yet. And I've drawn a pencil line down the middle, and that's just going to help me line up where this tooth die is going to go. So this die from the Tooth Fairy set, I'm just taping it down with a little bit of low-tack tape. I run it through my die cut machine, and now I've got a tooth-shaped window in the front of my card. Next, I'm going to grab that ink blended panel and put it behind my card and get it all lined up so I know where it's going to fit when it's adhered to the front. And then I'm going to use a pencil to lightly trace around the opening. And that will help me line up that tooth die so that I can also die cut it from the front of that panel. So I use the pencil line to line up that die on my ink blended panel, tack it down with low-tack tape again, and run it through my die cut machine. So now you see when I put my ink blended panel and my folded card together, they line up to have that tooth-shaped window. But before I adhere them together, I'm going to go ahead and decorate that ink blended panel with a little bit more. So I've got one of the sentiment stamps from the Tooth Fairy Wishes loaded up in my MISTI ready to go. But before I stamp it onto my ink blended panel, I'm stamping onto a piece of acetate that I've laid on top first. And that lets me double check the spacing and make sure everything is right. I like where it's at, so I wipe off that acetate, take it out of my MISTI, ink up my stamp, and stamp it again onto my panel. So for that tooth window, I could use acetate, I could use vellum, could use a lot of things, but I happen to have a bunch of these laminating pouches in my studio, and I've been packing to move, so I decided why not use some of them up. So I open it up, I sprinkle in some chunky glitter, and then I run it through my laminator. And I don't think the camera's doing it justice because it's really fun and sparkly in real life. So I'm going to cut a piece to fit in between my inked panel and my card front. And then to adhere them together, I'm going to use some double-sided tape along the edges of that and some glue pen around the tooth opening. And then I'm going to use more double-sided tape along my inked panel and more glue pen around that second tooth opening. And I'm going to put them together. Now I like to pull the liner paper off the corner just a part way so that I can line everything up and then slowly pull that liner paper off and stick everything together. Then it's easy to grab the rest of those liner papers and adhere the card all the way together. And then after I stopped filming, I decided that that little tooth window actually needed a little bit more decoration. So I grabbed the Tooth Fairy die set again, and I die cut the crown and the face from white cardstock. I colored them with Copic markers, and the eyes and the smile I colored black on both sides so that when I adhered it to the window, it would show on both sides as black. You might be wondering why I didn't just use yellow and black cardstock, which is a totally fair question. I usually just have white cardstock laying on my desk, lots of scraps, and so it was easier to run a white scrap through with the die cut and then customize it with the markers. And I had such a good time with the Tooth Fairy card that I made a few more, including a Christmas card with a stackable snowflake die that I'm currently really obsessed with, and then a birthday card because you can never have enough birthday cards. And here's another look at the cards. You can see that clear, sparkly window in action. I think it's a really fun surprise. They're going to be super easy to mail because they're so nice and flat. I hope that the recipients think they're as fun as I do, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you again here soon. Have a great day. Happy crafting.